Here I have a couple of decks from an in-between era of the Star Wars CCG, so it's a mixture of the pre-2014 Legacy era and the post-2014 Reset era. These were never really tournament legal, but it's kind of what a buddy and I like to play. Since we kind of didn't know the rules when the reset happened around 2014. If you're curious about kind of the background of that format, please do read the description. Today I have a couple of my favorite decks that I built in this format. Saber combat for the dark side, so lots of Sith and Sith apprentice types there. And then Jedi Council, which, as you might guess, has a lot of Jedi. So a lot of Force users here, a lot of lightsabers, and kind of a good mix of ground and space for both that I found was pretty fun. I'll get started with the dark side deck. I do wonder if these two would be good to play against each other, because kind of the goal here is to, it really makes it hard for your opponent if they have Jedi to be able to do anything with their Jedi unless they bring them to Naboo to to lightsaber combat against your Jedi. Basically dueling, but under a different name, because dueling was already a different mechanic. So once you flip, that's when you have to fight the Jedi to flip back. So it's actually one of those strange objectives where the dark side wants to be on the front side, because they can't cancel your Force drains if you have on the front side. This card allows you for combat cards, so you can basically, instead of drawing destinies, you can give your Dualists cards, you can put them down on them and use those instead of destinies. So a pretty powerful card. The two starting sites, so a 3-2, so a lot of icons for both, and a 2-2. So it's a 5-to-4 starting ratio. That's pretty tough for the light side. I should say it's pretty tough for the dark side to give up that many icons. That's one of the problems with it. And also I decided to go with the Emperor starting this one, so it's fairly likely that the light side could come down and battle the Emperor the first turn. But I don't know if that's necessarily so bad. I'm sure there's a lot more experienced players than I that could really wipe the floor with me with that tactic, but whether if they do come down or don't, it can set up for a pretty good drain the first turn. So combat response to get matching starships, and I'll show you what the starships are in a bit. I've lost R2, that allows me to deploy assist plans, which lets me get out more sites. And I never liked doing the black border slips with the white border, but I ran out of black border blaster rack, so being able to deploy matching weapons. There's assist plans to get out. This is just a card I can get out with that R2 effect, which can add to a Force drain or make a female character it's on power +2. And then here come the Dualists themselves. So you got Lord Maul, who is built for lightsaber combat. He's the one you probably want doing it the most with his double-bladed lightsaber. Darth Sidious, who can place Jedi out of play. And I borrowed that image from a... what was that? Oh, that was the Young Jedi card game. So a custom alternate image there, I guess that'd be. Dooku with his lightsaber. I wanted to get this Vader in some kind of deck, but making Jedi defense value -1 and forfeit -2, I kind of thought that might be a good idea, because while you're trying to lightsaber combat the opponent's Jedi, they usually, at least when I've played it, they usually want to try to battle you. So if you can make them weaker in battle, that might hopefully, I mean, you do want to lightsaber combat if you can, but just get rid of their Jedi any way you can, and maybe if Sidious is sitting there alone, he can make them go out of play. So Vader and his lightsaber, and Grievous, not being a Jedi, can't actually, or I should say a Dark Jedi, can't actually lightsaber combat, but he can still use a lightsaber, just like Erica can use a lightsaber and retrieve if Luke is not around. Yeah, let's see, if he's not present at a battleground. So if Luke is in space, she can retrieve. If he's present at a battleground, I would guess it's probably a Jedi Luke, although some decks would use an ability 5 Luke, but that could be useful. And then the ships I went with this one, I just thought it'd be fun to put bounty hunter ships in a deck. So IG-88 and his ship, which he's pretty interesting because he adds, let's see, whenever you draw destiny, cumulatively subtract 1 from opponent's total power. So just trying to draw as many destinies as you can, and that's subtracting from opponent's power. And then Slave 1 with the ridiculous Boba Fett. I don't know how this was ever a thing, but yeah, if you have... it can deploy with Boba Fett as a react for free, and while he's piloting, its maneuver +2 and power cannot be reduced. So it's It deploys for free for power of 7, and it ends up getting crazy maneuver, so it ends up being maneuver 9, which some of you know what card might be in the deck based on that. I'll show it to you in a bit. Mist Hunter with Zuckuss, who makes Battle Destinies -2. The opponent's Battle Destiny is -2. Punishing one with Dengar on it. And he deploys free aboard, so some fairly decent Bounty Hunter combos. And they can pretty much all draw on their own as far as I know. And a couple more locations, trying to get spread out into space a little bit. Since I have so many Dark Jedi, I figured a Sense and an Altar would be nice. Not enough to make it a Sense and Altar deck, just because there's shields against that, but wanted a couple in there to mess with the opponent's strategy a bit. That allows me to get some of those Bounty Hunters into hand, and Forlom to recycle cards. So this is the one that's really nice with Boba Fett at maneuver 9. I can use his maneuver number of 9 instead of drawing a Battle Destiny. So I basically draw 9 for Battle Destiny. I guess maybe it was hard to get Boba Fett into hand, but Boba Fett and his ship into hand, but still that's pretty wild. And Sith Fury and TIE Sentry ships to redraw your characters and starships into hand if you draw them for Destiny. Real nice for canceling the low Destiny of what are usually fairly low cards. And a couple Force Lightnings for the Emperor. You might be able to zap somebody. Of course, on the first turn, it depends on whether or not you want to do that, because that makes his defense value and immunity to attrition gone. But if it's somebody low ability, it might be worth taking a stab. And then Black Sun Fleet if I ever want to move my ships during my control phase. So just trying to lure Jedi out into the open and see what happens. Plus I thought the Bounty Hunter ships were a pretty good combo. The light side deck is Jedi Council focused. This is the virtual version of We'll Handle This. So the dark side one was lightsaber combat. This is the light side version but with virtual text. So basically trying to get Jedi at the Jedi Council chamber, and then you get certain bonuses after you do that. You can retrieve force when you initiate battle with the Jedi. That was kind of an interesting text, that you could deploy a Jedi test without actually doing any Jedi training. And I think that makes it so the opponent has to have the ability of greater than 6 to draw Battle Destiny, but I'm kind of foggy on that one. So this one's cool. Deploying a Jedi Council member, you can take a card into hand from used pile. I love those used pile pulls. This lets me play Jedi's Plans. This lets me get out lightsabers and retreat, well, lose 1 force to deploy them. So it's sort of like retrieval, and this lets me get matching ships. And of course, this Republic Logistics lets you get out of Jedi's Plans. And Mace, he's definitely the heavy hitter in this deck. Immune to attrition, can swing a lightsaber twice. And I actually used a Young Jedi card for this, so that's why it's off-centered. But I just put the Mace Windu's lightsaber around the Young Jedi card. Can't really tell in these sleeves that it's a Young Jedi card. In fact, they're not see-through at all. But a Qui-Gon and an Obi-Wan, they can both use his lightsaber, and then a few other Jedi. Quite a few other Jedi. He's pretty good with his saber. And that was Eth Koth's lightsaber from the Jedi Young Jedi card game that I used as the picture for that one. So these are the nice ones to deploy to the Jedi Council chamber. And if you ever get in a duel or a lightsaber combat, which is pretty rough in this deck because the Jedi aren't necessarily equipped for playing against the deck that I showed you just before, at least those are +1. So you have a good chance of surviving lightsaber combat. A couple of spaceships and Jedi pilots. This one's real nice to be able to place a Jedi Council member you just forfeited in your used pile to cancel all battle damage and attrition. So there's a lot of tricks the dark side could use against this, but honestly just putting Mace Windu at a site by himself, swinging it at a couple guys, maybe make them lose 1 more for attrition, then put him in the used pile, deploy him later, and then with quick draw being able to deploy his lightsaber from the lost pile and just have him come right back and do it again. That seems like a lot of fun. So deploying Jedi Council members with this, being able to use, since I have so many Jedi Masters, being able to use their ability as my Battle Destiny is nice. It's worth 2, I guess I put 3 copies in there. Nice high destiny card. A few senses for sure. 4 senses. Wow. Okay. This must be from before I was afraid of grabbers that made it harder to play the same copies of the same interrupt. Of course, Jedi levitation since I have low destiny guys. Weapon levitation to get a lightsaber out of my used pile. And retrieve. So I really wanted lightsabers to get a lightsaber. Or, well, this is also good for stealing lightsabers from the opponent, but being able to retrieve a lightsaber once per game. And this is nice because after I use the Jedi's plans to get this out, I can then go get a Speak with the Jedi Council, which then lets me deploy a Yoda for my reserve decks. It's pretty important to get Yoda there, and without getting him there, you can't really flip your objective. But this is just a nice 2-1 site, not really built for this deck, but it's a Coruscant site, 2-1 that I can deploy at, and AT-ATs can't go there. And a docking bay in the Coruscant system, and then a couple copies of Coruscant Celebration, trying to spread out a few Jedi and then retrieve. So that is the Jedi Council deck. I played this one, probably 3 or 4 times, probably one of the most played Legacy decks that I have, save for a couple of Rebel-based themed ones, which I'll show in future videos. But a lot of cool Jedi, lightsabers, just all that stuff to geek out on about Star Wars. And some pretty interesting text from a lot of them. So a fun deck. It'd be nice sometime to try this one versus that Darkside lightsaber combat deck and see what happens. I think the Darkside would have a big advantage in space, and who knows, depending on whether or not the light side can get out the Jedi Advisors, if they could overcome the Darkside's combat cards. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this deck review video. I'm about halfway through my Legacy decks that I have built, and not only do I have these types of videos, but if you've seen my channel before, you've probably seen some sealed product videos, so do check out those as well. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.